It is a big couple of years for international baseball, and 2024 is one of the biggest of them all. As we say hello and welcome you into a discussion on Premier 12's return. 5 years after the last edition in 2019, the world's biggest WBSC competition returns in 2024. Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Maun. You might remember me from some WBSC broadcasts throughout the international baseball world. And you, I know, are very familiar with the gentleman sharing your screen. And that is Mike Clair of MLB.com. The two of us, we're like a two sides of the same international baseball coin. There's like the broadcasting, like annoying talking side, and then there's like the really good writer side, and that's you. What's going on, man? How are you?
It's good, but I think you have to say it's the really annoying writing side to pair with the really annoying talking side. No, this is amazing. We're teaming up. We're working together. 2-for-1 special today.
Very exciting. We have not really ever done this as working together, which is weird because technically we're like co-workers because we both work for MLB.com in certain capacities. But now we're actually getting to work together. We also spent time together this summer doing some different events, but not like working together for them. We just like hung out a bunch, which was awesome. But we said that by
Saw
the end of
the
this video,
Scout
maybe
manufacturers. I mean, what
we went to
else? What
Johnny
more do you want?
Appleseed's gravesite. If you're
Yeah.
weirdly into, small time Americana, as the two of us are, we hung out at minor league ballparks across the country, and it was fantastic. And this year, we get to explore international stuff on a global stage with the return of the global baseball battle that is Premier 12 here in 2024. Mike and I are going to give you a preview of what is ahead for Premier 12 in 2024. But we are also going to look at the first two editions of Premier 12, which got its start, of course, in 2015 and now returning for its third edition. You might think, in 2015, how's 2024 the third edition? Remember that whole pandemic thing? So when the pandemic hit, we were not even 6 months removed from crowning Japan as the champions of Premier 12 for the first time ever. Japan beating rival Korea in 2019 at the Tokyo Dome to capture the first Premier 12 championship in Japan's history. And then a few months later, everything changed. The original return of Premier 12 was set for 2023. Is that right? 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah.
That
So
sounds right.
I'm good at math. But obviously, with the rescheduling of the Tokyo Olympic Games and everything getting pushed back, 2024 is where we find ourselves, and we are back on track for Premier 12 headed forward. And I'm excited, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. It has been a while that we've been waiting around for the return of this, and I am tremendously excited to get this thing back on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you saw, international baseball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, it's pretty clear everywhere you go. But as soon as the WBC ended, everybody went, "What's next? How do
What's
I follow the
next?
next thing? Where do I go?" And the answer is, well, it's Premier 12. And what's really cool about this is not just that it's the top 12 nations, but you can follow the ranking. It's not like college football where it's, you know, a bunch of big time coaches and AP writers buried in a bunker somewhere, but there's actually points for each one. So you could follow along. It's a big thing, in the European Championships when Italy finished ninth, that basically killed their chance at the Premier 12. The Czech Republic was hoping they could pick up enough points. I think they made it to 14th or 15th to make it in. But this is what's next for everybody who saw Shohei Ohtani strike out Mike Trout. Well, Shohei Ohtani was in the 2015 edition. I think it was what, 21 innings, something like that, 3 hits, 21 strikeouts, like truly unbelievable. That was 2015. And this is what's next. This is the big thing.
He threw the first pitch in Premier 12 history, and it was a ball. And it's kind of funny to like look at Shohei Ohtani in a big moment and be like, "I really blew that one for the first time."
Not very good at baseball.
Just
That's what.
this guy, man. I mean, how are we going to deal with having somebody like Shohei Ohtani just dragging the event? No, he was one of the headline stories in Premier 12 at the inaugural event back in 2015. In 2019, His Samurai Japan teammates were able to capture victory for the first time. So let's go back and let's look at the first two editions of Premier 12 in case you were not along for the ride in 2015 and 2019. The 2015 edition was kind of a surprise with the way it ended. Japan did not make it into the World Championship final. Instead, that was Korea, which took down the United States. 8-0 was the final in that one in the gold medal World Championship matchup. And it was a win for the U.S. over Mexico, which knocked out that team. And then Mexico got a little revenge in 2019, and we'll talk about that as well. Japan took down Mexico for the bronze in the 2015 edition, and some incredible stars. I mean, as Mike noted, the fact that Shohei Ohtani was in that event was among the coolest things that we could have asked for. But there were a lot of players in that 2015 edition who really showed out. It's kind of difficult to look back on all these rosters and not just pick out Japan stars, because Japan stars have been so incredible through the first two editions of this event. But Korea, obviously, I remember back in that 2015 edition, Kyomu Jong, I believe in that edition, had 12 hits in 8 games and was just going off all over the place offensively. The amount of power that Korea team had was so much fun to watch over the opening round and on to the World Championship. And, then Japan realizes, like, okay, well, these are the things that we want to address going toward 2019, going toward the WBSC Premier 12, going toward the Olympic Games, the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, they captured a championship in last year, but started off in Premier 12 in 2015, not getting the win. And it kind of feels like, oh, that unleashed just even more of Japan's power in international baseball, because since then they have like hardly lost an international event.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned looking at the rosters and how just absolutely loaded they were. One thing that's really interesting, if you're a major league fan, literally within a month after the Premier 12, Korea wins. Han-Soo Kim signs with the Orioles. Byung-Ho Park signs with the Twins, and another month later, Kenta Maeda signs with the Dodgers. Now, obviously, it's not just the Premier 12, but 1 month after these guys, Han-Soo Kim made it to the all tournament team that year. Obviously, this is a place where, yeah, all the best players from around the world are going to be here. Make sure your scouts are there and go get the best guys. And we saw that come out of there. The Gurriel brothers played in that one. Tyler O'Neill led the way with 8 RBIs. Adam Frazier was the second baseman of the tournament. I'm just, looking to my left where some notes I wrote down. And that's where Brendan Bernardino made a pretty big impact. And now he is a big left-hander out of the Red Sox pen. So it's not just the star players, but you've got, not to give too much away, last night the Orioles were knocked out. Yenier Cano, mispronouncing his name, I believe, but he pitched for Cuba 2015. So there's just so much talent when you look back at the tournaments from the past, and just how also playing this tournament maybe, push their careers forward.
And it's cool too, because the rosters get constructed in such different ways. You look at Japan or Korea and a lot of those programs nationally, and at the youth level, you have some of their most highly touted prospects. You get to the Premier 12 level, and it's like a big league all-star team. USA Baseball largely builds from the prospect ranks and some major league veterans, some guys, we saw Eric Kratz on the team back in 2019. We see some names that guys who are maybe reaching the end of their careers as it comes to the major league level, but they still want to be able to participate on the international stage, and they get the opportunity to do that. The USA Baseball rosters over the years have included Alec Baum, who was a member of that squad for the U.S. in 2019. Jake Cronenworth was on that squad for the U.S. in 2019. Brent Rooker has been making headlines, it feels like, all year this year for massive home runs in big-time spots in major league games. So that's been really cool to see. Chinese Taipei, every year, it seems like, is going to throw out a roster that is going to compete at the highest level. They have not yet captured a medal at Premier 12. They haven't captured a world championship or a bronze, but they're always out there, fighting their way to make it on to the final round. From 2015 to 2019, we saw such cool growth with this event. And it feels like from 2019 to 2024 is going to be the big jumping off point because of exactly what you noted, which is fans who watched the World Baseball Classic last year and thought, oh, I need to get in on that the next time there's a big international event. And, 2019's Premier 12 really set us up that way as well, because the finish to that event was such a thrill. Japan was able to capture the world championship, took down Korea, a 5-3 final in that one. Korea scored 3 runs in the top of the first inning in that game. Japan bounced back. They got a run in the bottom of the first, 3 in the second, and then didn't add on until the 7th on the way to that win. Mexico knocked off the United States for a bronze medal, a 3-2 win in extra innings. The U.S. led that game 2-1 going to the bottom of the 9th. It was actually an American-born player with Mexican heritage who has played for Mexico at various competitions, Matt Clark, who hit the game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th to lift his team eventually to extra innings and then on to the win. So there were so many storylines, so many regional rivalries, so much talent. And that 2019 edition was a blast. And to be able to build off the back of that one now coming into 2024, you're building on an event that was already incredible. You've got additional eyeballs from people who fell in love with international baseball over the last couple of years, even going back to the Tokyo Olympic Games. And now you get a chance to really reintroduce this thing on a big scale.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that the 2019 games themselves, they were closer scoring, they were tighter games. The final, you have a massive championship between two rivals. It's tight, it's close. You see the care that's in there, and again, you want more big players. Jung-Hoo Lee makes his big, statement on the international game right there. Seiya Suzuki. I mean, Ha-Seong Kim was in 2019. So again, we're seeing the level of play better, the pride on the line, so much passion from around the world. And then Noah Song, who Red Sox draftee, was in the Navy, I believe, which is, his minor league career is interesting to follow. But this is what he said after playing in 2019. He said, "It's awesome. Baseball makes everybody come together. We don't speak the same language, but we do play the same rules. The game really is universal." And that's, I mean, to me, that's the whole beauty of the Premier 12, of international baseball, of the World Baseball Classic, and one of the many reasons why I'm super excited for what's to come.
Yeah, one of the coolest memories that I have was the first game that John Paul Morosi and I did for the U.S. Back in 2019 in Guadalajara in Mexico, which is one of our host sites here in 2024. Seeing Noah Song, everybody standing for the national anthem, but Noah Song, an alumnus of the United States Naval Academy, having to stand at attention for the national anthem, which was very cool. And it just brings together so many different baseball backgrounds. And that's one of the things that I love most about Premier 12. And for this 2024 edition, we are going to have a lot of fun with these 2 different groups that have come together here in 2024. We'll talk a little bit about the groups and how they are organized, but we're also going to talk about how these teams got here for Premier 12 2024, because when you are an international fan and you know that, your team has had some big wins and your team is going to be moving on to, a U18 World Cup or U15 World Cup, you go through a continental qualifier, you kind of understand, okay, well, here is how all of this stuff plays out. When it comes to Premier 12, it's not quite that straightforward in terms of just playing your way in, because as the name might suggest, this is 12 teams that are the top 12 baseball playing nations in the world as ranked by the WBSC rankings process at the end of 2023. So the 12 teams that we have are split into 2 6-team groups. I'll give you Group A and Group B. Group A, Mexico, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Panama, Puerto Rico, the United States, and Venezuela. Those 6 teams will be playing at Estadio Panamericano in Guadalajara and Estadio Santa Teresita in Tepic in Mexico. And then in Group B, a game that will get us started is going to happen at the Vantolin Dome in Nagoya in Japan, and that'll be Japan versus Australia on the first day of Premier 12 here in 2024. That'll be on the 13th of November, but then everything else will be in Taipei for the opening round in Group B at Tianmu Baseball Stadium in the Taipei Dome, the brand new Taipei Dome, which I'm very excited to see. 6 teams in that one: Australia, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Japan, Korea, and Chinese Taipei. And all of these teams, Mike, have been qualifying through not just, the big time events that you look at as the World Baseball Classic or Premier 12, but obviously World Championships at the U12, U15, U18, and U23 levels, and continental championships, some more major multi-sport events. If you think of, the Asian Games and the European Baseball Championships and that type of stuff, those all contribute to the rankings as well. So this is a very holistic, multifaceted approach to the rankings, which is great because you're not just rewarding who produces the most talent on a professional scale. You're rewarding who is building this from the ground level all the way up through their youth programs to World Cup events and now on to really the biggest stages, the World Baseball Classic and Premier 12. This is a big event because it means a lot for not just what you do at the highest level, but also your youth teams. When you look at a country like Australia, a team that will play in Premier 12 this time around, this was the goal for Baseball Australia after 2015 and 2019 was we need to make sure that we're in Premier 12 for 2023, as it looked at that time, or 2024, because funding comes from that stuff. Infrastructure things come out of that stuff. So this is big, not just in, we want to play, we want to beat our rivals, and we want to win. It also opens the door to a lot of different roads being paved for your youth initiatives, for young players growing up and getting into baseball and developing in baseball. And those are the things that come out of a big time event like Premier 12.
Netherlands. Netherlands lost their Olympic status for their players. They had A status in the past that, reflects in terms of Olympic payments from the government, but also leads to player stipends so that their best players could focus entirely on baseball. When they did not finish in the top two at the European Championship 2 years ago, they lost that A status. They had an opportunity to pick that up at Honkball Week that had Japan, a team from USA, Chinese Taipei. They lost on an error and a come from behind win from the junior college USA team. So Netherlands has to finish in the top 8 in the Premier 12 for their players to earn their stipends back. And again, that's going to make a big deal for WBC. That's going to make a big deal for the youth players. Can their best players focus entirely on baseball? And it's going to come down to this tournament.
What excites you most about this event? The amount of players that we get to look back on and think like, oh yeah, I saw that guy in Premier 12 in 2015. I remember watching Shohei Ohtani in Premier 12. That stuff is among the coolest for events like this. But what else excites you about this event for 2024?
I mean, how much time do you have? Like, if you're willing to take the next 6 hours, we can talk for 6 hours. Obviously, there's star players that we want to see. The likely KBO MVP winner. Let me just pull up his name real quick so I don't get it wrong. Do Young Kim. He is expected to play for Korea. I'm super excited to see him. Who are the next Japanese stars we're going to see? But then also from a storytelling narrative standpoint, Korea was really disappointed in their performance in the World Baseball Classic. They've finished with a gold and a silver in the Premier 12. They're going to care a lot about this one. Australia made it to the quarterfinals in the World Baseball Classic. Might we see #1 overall draft pick Travis Bazzana? And is this a tournament where Australia could really push themselves, make a name for themselves? They came up close to Cuba to get to the semis. There's some really, really exciting storylines. United States. What if we get US, Japan on, in the finals again, not only at the end of the World Baseball Classic, but this summer, the Women's Baseball World Cup. Japan beat the United States for another gold medal. USA Baseball wants that victory. Chinese Taipei. They are a sleeping giant in international baseball. You've mentioned it, the brand new dome. Super excited to see that. Super excited to see what the atmosphere is. We all know the fans there, the cheering squads are unbelievable. But could this be a tournament where Chinese Taipei surprises some people? Venezuela, Puerto Rico. I mean, there's so much to dive into, and there's such a international competitions like this. It's short. It's this is the perfect time for. If Panama comes out and all of a sudden Panama makes a lot of noise, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. Like this is what I'm so excited about is the teams playing against each other and everything on the line. But that's me. I'm weird. I just love the glorious sports. What can I say, Tyler? What do you got?
Hey man, there's nothing weird about that because I am the exact same way. I think that the coolest thing to me for all these international events is just seeing the way fans embrace these games. I am very excited to see the Taipei Dome. I'm very excited to see what that Chinese Taipei fan base gets to bring in an indoor environment. Got lucky enough to do the World Baseball Classic's first round in Taichung last year, and that was the most electric atmosphere I've ever been in. The Taipei Dome is 2 times that size, and it's indoors. So we're not going to be A, dealing with the elements, and B, it's going to be a lot louder, which is fantastic. Very excited for that. There are few places as cool as the Tokyo Dome when it comes to baseball history and the baseball experience. So that I'm very excited for. But I'm also really excited to see the way these rivalries play out again as well. U.S.-Mexico, a team that played for bronze in 2015 and was upset. The United States, what is the reaction going to be like going against Mexico on home soil for that Mexico team, which has continued to make huge strides over the last, several years. They were U23 Baseball World Cup champions just a few years ago. Venezuela won a U23 Baseball World Cup a couple of years ago as well. They're in Group A also. Panama has made some big time noise. Panama is going to be back in the World Baseball Classic after finishing last year, coming out of a qualifier on home soil in Panama in 2022. Played well in the 23 edition of the Classic. Puerto Rico just played in the U23 Baseball World Cup championship game under the same manager who will be there for Premier 12 in Juan Gonzalez, the former 2-time American League MVP. So that's really exciting in Group A. In Group B, you mentioned Australia. Is Travis Bazzana going to be part of this? That would be massive for that Australia team, especially because they're in somewhat of a similar circumstance in the more big time events you win, the more focus you get, the more funding that comes along with that. One team that I'm always fascinated to see is Cuba, because Cuba has gone through a whole lot of change in its baseball talent domestically and what has gone on to play on the international stage, whether that's through players who have left for the United States, players who have played in Japan. So I'll be interested to see what type of squad Cuba brings along to this Premier 12 in 2024. There are just so many, Japan, Korea, and Chinese Taipei are all in the same group, which is incredible. We're going to get those rivalry games every night. There is so much about this event. If you like the World Baseball Classic, if you liked Premier 12 in 2019, all this stuff just keeps growing and getting better. And we are very excited to get a chance to be part of it.
It's really interesting too because Mexico has been trying to follow kind of a international soccer model. They have been scheduling and trying to schedule and talking a lot about wanting to have friendlies, wanting to have exhibition games with other nations, the interest in fans. They've seen tickets for the Mexican League rise, and all of that comes back to their performance in the World Baseball Classic. And I am really excited. They're the #2 nation in the world. Can Mexico win this thing? And if they do, what does that do for the future of baseball in Mexico? What do they do with that prize money? What do they do with that as a springboard to the next World Baseball Classic? What's really exciting about this, and what's really exciting about the calendar is that it's also proof that international baseball, it's not jump in for a tournament, come back in a couple of years. Oh yeah, what was this? This is all the time. This is round the clock. Tyler, you know it. You fly to all these to cover every single one of them. I don't think you ever know what time it is or what time zone you're necessarily in, but that's because it doesn't stop.
That is true. And so many exciting storylines for all 12 of these countries as we head toward Premier 12's first pitch coming up on the 9th of November in Mexico and the 13th of November in Japan and in Taiwan as all of these squads get ready to roll here in 2024. We're going to give you all kinds of fun stuff to keep in touch with these teams and to get ready for Premier 12 in 2024 at WBSC.org. You can go there for all of the information, everything you need. Take Mike Clair, MLB.com's legend himself. And my name is Tyler Maun. We're so ready.
Yeah, Christmas is going to be a real letdown this year. Santa's going to come, presents under the tree, and I'm going to be like, there wasn't a single 12-inning international baseball game under there.
We had this thing last month that was way cooler than this.
Yeah, so thanks, but no thanks, Santa.
For Mike Clair, my name is Tyler Maun, and for everyone at WBSC, Premier 12 coming up